Have you ever noticed a quiet paradox on the path of inner growth? You journey inward. You touch a space of profound connection, a sense of oneness with the flow of life itself. Yet, when you open your eyes, you may find yourself feeling a unique sense of solitude in the world. You might wonder, with all this inner richness, why is a simple, deep connection with another so elusive? From a place of deep awareness, we can observe this without judgment. It is not a flaw in your journey, it is a profound unfolding. You have awakened to your own vastness, like a single stream realizing it is connected to the entire ocean. And now, you find it difficult to engage in the old games of romance and attachment. This is not a problem to be solved. It is an invitation to understand a much deeper form of love. It's the beginning of a journey into a connection that is far more real than what you may have left behind. Before we explore this path together, let us set an intention. Ancient wisdom often begins with a powerful inner declaration. I invite you to share this one. Type I am THOCN in the comments below, not as a boast, but as a gentle reminder of the boundless peace that is your true nature. And if these explorations of the heart and mind resonate with you, consider joining our community. Subscribe, and let's walk this path of understanding together. By sharing these insights, we help others find their own way. The first understanding we must arrive at is that much of what society calls love is a form of trade, an unspoken agreement. Imagine two thirsty travelers, each believing the other holds the only source of water. This belief begins with a story we are told from a young age, that you are an incomplete half, searching for another to make you whole. It is a compelling tale, and because it speaks to a deep sense of lack, many live their entire lives within its chapters. So, the search begins. We present a carefully curated version of ourselves. We learn the correct phrases, practice expressions of interest, all while carrying a quiet fear of being overlooked, of being deemed unworthy, of being chosen. This is the common ground for so much romance. Two people, each deeply convinced of their own insufficiency, hoping the other will finally provide the missing piece of their own puzzle. And for a time, this arrangement can feel exhilarating. The rush of emotion, the sense of being seen, the constant focus on another person. It is often called falling in love. But consider that word, falling. It implies a loss of control, an accident you stumble into, not a conscious state of being you cultivate. And what is the energy behind this fall? It is not love, it is need. A powerful, driving need to escape the unease of being alone with oneself. A need for validation, for proof that one's existence is meaningful in the eyes of another. The surface may be decorated with poetry and grand gestures, but beneath, it is often two souls clinging to one another, using each other as a shield against their own perceived emptiness. Now, this is where your path diverges. As your awareness deepens, you begin to see the architecture of this game. You start to recognize that what you once called passion was often anxiety in a more beautiful form. You notice how much of what was called devotion was actually a silent negotiation. I will meet your needs if you will meet mine. I will quiet your fears if you quiet mine. Once you see this, you cannot return to unknowing. It is like watching a masterful play after having seen the complex mechanics backstage. You can still appreciate the artistry. You can admire the performance, but you are no longer captivated by the illusion. You know how the effects are created. This is why those who are awakening find the conventional path to love so challenging. It is not because they have grown distant or incapable of feeling. It is because they can no longer participate in the shared dream that passes for romance. They see the hidden strings. They hear the undercurrent of need beneath the beautiful melodies. They recognize the whole drama for what it is, a beautiful, sometimes tragic, arrangement for two incomplete beings to avoid the silence within themselves. But in that silence, you discover something transformative. You were never empty to begin with. The void you spent so much energy trying to fill was never actually there. It was a story you were told, a belief you adopted, and it was a convincing belief, one that shaped your entire life. The truth which can be found in the quiet stillness, is that you are not a fragment. You are not one half of a whole. You are the whole, right now. You are life itself, experiencing this world through the unique vessel that is you. The idea that you require another to complete you is like a mountain believing it needs another mountain to be solid ground. It already is solid ground. It always was. When you truly grasp this, when you feel this truth in your own being, a profound shift occurs. The urgent seeking, the hunger for another to fill your space, begins to dissolve. You cease evaluating every person you meet as a potential candidate to complete your life. You stop measuring your worth by the attention you receive, because you are no longer searching for completion. You are resting in it. This realization brings an immense sense of freedom. To no longer require another's approval to feel valid is a powerful liberation. But this freedom comes with a unique challenge. You can no longer play the old game. You cannot pretend that the dramatic rituals of conventional courtship are the ultimate reality. You cannot fake being carried away by a current when you see the riverbed so clearly. This is where the solitude emerges. It is not the loneliness of being without people. You can sit by yourself for hours in perfect contentment. It is the loneliness of perspective. It's the experience of seeing a vast landscape that others, who are still immersed in the game, do not yet see. It's like being the only one awake in a room of beautiful dreamers. Their dreams are vivid and compelling, and you cannot join them, not out of superiority, but because you simply can't make yourself believe in the dream again. You meet someone. They are kind, engaging, and show interest. In the past, this would be the start of a familiar story. But now, you see the entire arc of the story before it even begins. You foresee the initial chemistry, the slow unveiling of conditioned patterns, the bartering of emotional needs, and the eventual realization that neither of you can be the source of the other's wholeness, because that source resides only within. And so, you pause. This hesitation does not come from fear, but from a place of deep clarity. You cannot willingly step into a story you know is an illusion. You cannot drink from a cup knowing it will only quench a temporary thirst. This pause, this inability to throw yourself into the old drama, can create a distance. Others may sense that you are operating by a different set of principles. This might make them uncomfortable, or it might make them deeply curious. But in either case, it can create a space between you. Here is an insight that is rarely spoken of. Awakening deepens your capacity for true connection. Before, you might have been content with someone who made you feel less alone, who was entertaining, who filled the quiet hours. But now, that is not enough. You are listening for something else, a resonance that the vocabulary of romance doesn't quite capture. You find yourself drawn to someone who has also seen through the game, who also knows they are already whole, who is not looking to you as a missing piece of their identity. Because only then can you truly meet, not as fantasies or saviors, but as two expressions of the one same consciousness, two rivers who have both recognized their connection to the same ocean. And herein lies the challenge. Individuals who embody this understanding are not common. Most are still deeply invested in the old story, searching for their other half, defining themselves through their attachments, playing the game with sincere intensity. There is no blame in this. You were once playing it too, until your awareness shifted. But the truth remains, the field of potential partners has grown smaller and more refined. Where once you might have been captivated by a charming personality or an attractive appearance, now you sense a deeper need, a need for presence. You feel drawn to those who are awake, or at least stirring from their slumber. You seek someone who sees from a similar place of clarity, and that, naturally, reduces the number of possible connections. This is why many who walk an inner path find themselves spending periods in solitude. It's not because they are incapable of love. It is because their definition of love has transformed. They can no longer engage in it the old way. They have outgrown that pattern, like a musician who, having learned the complexities of harmony, can no longer be satisfied playing simple, dissonant chords. The old stories are no longer fulfilling. They seek something more resonant, more true. And sometimes that resonance does not appear for a long time. Years may pass. You will meet good people, share conversations, feel moments of connection, but they may not touch that deep, quiet place where you truly live. And so you remain in solitude, not with bitterness or despair, but in a state of quiet integrity, waiting for a presence that speaks your silent language. There is a profound dignity in this solitude. You are unwilling to trade truth for comfort. You will not return to the dream simply because more people are dreaming it. You would rather stand in clarity, even if it means standing alone, than kneel in a shared illusion. But let us be honest. It is not always a simple path. There are nights the stillness in your home can feel heavy. Moments when you wonder if you have made a mistake. You may look at others in their seemingly content relationships, with all their dramas and compromises, and think that perhaps their way is easier. Perhaps you are asking for too much. Perhaps this clarity has cost you something essential. And you are not wrong. It has cost you something. It has cost you your ability to be satisfied by illusion. It has cost you the option of using another human being as a distraction from your own inner work. These are real losses, and at times, the price can feel great. But here is the core understanding: you cannot go back. Even if you try to pretend, to play the old part, it would feel hollow. The bell of awakening has been struck, and its sound cannot be unheard. You have tasted something authentic, and once you have, imitations lose their appeal. So what is the way forward? You live, you flow, you continue to deepen your own presence. You do not close your heart or become cynical. You simply recognize that true love must now come from a different source, not from need, but from fullness. Not from fear, in the hopes another will save you, but from freedom. Not from the desperate clutching of two halves, but from the peaceful, radiant meeting of two whole beings. And perhaps this connection comes. One day, you might meet someone who has walked a similar terrain, who carries the same quality of stillness, who looks at you and sees not an answer to their loneliness, but a companion in the great mystery. Someone who doesn't need you to be whole, because they have already found their own wholeness. This person can love you not because they must, but because they choose to, because the act of loving is itself an expression of their own inner peace. When this happens, it is nothing like the old experience of falling. There is no chaotic fever, no grasping, no anxiety. Instead, there is a serene recognition, a meeting of sovereign beings. Two people already at peace within themselves, choosing to share their peace, not out of necessity, but out of joy, because it is a beautiful expression of the freedom they have each cultivated. This love does not bind or possess. It simply is, like the warmth of the sun or the flow of a river. It is a love without an agenda. But again, such a connection is a rare flower, and there is no promise it will bloom in your garden. You might spend this entire life in quiet solitude. You must make your peace with this possibility. You must be willing to walk your path alone, if that is what your clarity asks of you, because the alternative is to return to the dream. It is to force yourself back into a story that no longer fits, to use another or be used by another in the shared pretense that you can save each other from the human journey. You can no longer do that. The role feels unnatural. You have seen beyond the stage, and you cannot replace the veil. So you carry this unique state of being, clarity in a world that often prefers the comfort of dreams. And yes, it can be a solitary path at times. You may wish it were easier to find someone who simply understands. But you would not trade this clarity, because you have tasted true freedom, and that inner freedom is worth any price. Those on a path of awareness struggle to find love not because they are unlovable, but because they refuse to call a transaction by that sacred name. They have stopped confusing need with connection, hunger with passion. In doing so, they have opened a space for something far more profound to enter. Something that may arrive tomorrow, or in a decade, or may already be present in forms you are just learning to recognize. Whatever unfolds, you know this fundamental truth: You are already whole, already complete, already free. And that deep, inner knowing is more precious than all the conditional romances in the world. You would rather be alone in your truth than partnered in a comfortable illusion. This is the challenge of awakening, and it is also its greatest gift. You lose the desire to lose yourself in another, and you gain the ability to find yourself in everything. You lose the fragile comfort of shared need, and you gain the unshakable strength of inner sufficiency. You release the old story of romance, and you open yourself to a love that asks for nothing but gives everything. A love that is not something you get, but something you are. And if you never find another to share that within a partnership, you still have the love itself. For it was never in them to begin with. It was always and only in you. And that is why those who awaken no longer find love in the old way, because they have already discovered it at its very source, within their own being. All other relationships become a beautiful, graceful dance, but no longer a desperate search for salvation. You can enjoy the dance without forgetting the silent, peaceful ground on which you stand. You are free, free to love without needing, free to connect without clinging, free to simply be. And that boundless freedom is what you were always seeking, not in another person, but within yourself, where it always was and always will be. If this path of self-discovery and inner freedom is one you are committed to, subscribe to continue this journey with us. Your road is your own, but you do not have to walk it in isolation. Let us continue to learn and grow together.